Okay, Jeff, I'm going to send over the titles right now. Hi, and welcome back to Clean Out the Fridge Friday on Focal Point. Brian Fisher is my name. You're listening to Focal Point on AFR Talk. Getting you some of the stories and sound bites that I've had in the roster and have just not had time to get through, and decided to go back and clean out the fridge today because some of these are very interesting. We were talking in the last segment about the fact that we've got this major disconnect between what John Kerry is saying about what agreement was made with Iran. They've got to dismantle their centrifuges. This is a wonderful thing. We have stopped the progress toward nuclear weapons in Iran. A wonderful win for diplomacy. We're letting them have $500 million. I don't know if you'd heard about that, is that we have frozen Iranian assets that are in this country. There are Iranian assets. They've been frozen. They can't get to them. And John Kerry said, look, we're going to let you have $500 million, $550 million of your frozen assets. We're going to release them to you today because we just appreciate the wonders of this agreement that you've made to dismantle your centrifuges. So they've got the money. They've got their $500 million, and trust me, they are going to use that in the interest of terrorism. So we're giving them $500 million that was under our control. Now we've given it back to them. No question they will use that to fund terrorist activities, whether it's in Syria or wherever. That's what they will do because Iran's running the show down in Syria. They're the ones that are funding the terrorist activity down there. So they've got the money, and they're going to go out and do it. Now, and so here's on CNN, here's the Iranian foreign minister, clip 17. Remember, we heard the president of Iran saying we didn't agree to dismantle anything, which means John Kerry is lying to us. They will not show us the text because it would expose the bald-faced lie that they're telling us. This guy by the name of Javad Zarif, and here's what he has to say about the centrifuges.
The White House tries to portray it as basically a dismantling of Iran's nuclear program. That is the word that they use time and again. And I urge you to read the entire text. If you find a single word that even closely resembles dismantling or could be defined as dismantling in the entire text, then I would take back my comment.
So what is it Iran doing?
Iran? No. What the text, what Iran has agreed is not to enrich above 5%. We did not agree to dismantle anything.
We did not agree to dismantle anything. Now, President Obama, remember Hillary Clinton was obfuscating about Benghazi. She said she regretted the loss of 4 lives, but not willing to do anything about it. And President Obama said, look, this was the JV. This was al-Qaeda's junior varsity. We know now that al-Qaeda has more impact, more influence over more of the Middle East than they did before. And yet the Obama administration is still trying to tell us they're on the run. And one of the ways President Obama trying to convince us they're on the run is they're saying Benghazi was the work of the JV, the junior varsity. Well, you know what that does. Okay, if that's the JV, just think what the varsity squad can do. And here's Charles Krauthammer, clip 19. Charles Krauthammer, his take on this whole al-Qaeda junior varsity business.
It's not only an excuse, a way to explain his way out of why he has failed on all of these issues. It's also a demonstration, a shocking demonstration of his strategic shallowness. You know, it's the example of, it's not the Lakers. The whole strategy of al-Qaeda, as explained by Zawahiri and Osama bin Laden, was to establish regional and local insurgencies to attack the Arab states whom they saw as acting in the interest of the infidels, starting with Saudi Arabia. The whole idea was local insurgencies with a global perspective. I think Obama still, to this day, after half a decade, doesn't understand at all who we are and who he is up against the war on terror.
So Charles Krauthammer saying Obama has got no clue. He doesn't understand what he's up against. And I frankly do not think that's true. I've tried this out before, but I think President Obama knows exactly what he's doing. I think President Obama is using the powers of his office to facilitate the Islamic Caliphate. I believe that's what President Obama is about. Because everywhere he goes, I mean, it'd be one thing if it happened occasionally, but everywhere that President Obama intervenes with American resources, American military, American diplomacy. Every time he intervenes, he emboldens, empowers, and enables jihad. It's the forces of Islamic jihad that are assisted, whether it is in Egypt, whether it is in Libya, whether it is in Syria, whether it is in Iran, everywhere he goes, whether it is in Afghanistan, everywhere he goes, the footprint that he leaves behind is something that facilitates radical Islam and draws the day of the coming caliphate closer. And I think this is intentional on President Obama's part. He's not stumbling around in the dark, clueless, incompetent, inept. It looks that way. But I believe all this is intentional on President Obama's part. Now, one other thing I wanted to talk about, by the way, now we know that the CIA director, former CIA director, name is Mike Morrell, he altered the Benghazi talking points to provide cover for President Obama and the Obama administration leading up to the 2012 election. He actually made changes in the CIA talking points to provide some kind of cover for the Obama administration. He cut the word Islamic out of the talking points, and he left in the word demonstration. So he deliberately changed and altered the talking points, left the word demonstration in there, even though they knew it was a terrorist attack, took the word Islamic out of there so it wouldn't look like a terrorist attack. Now, I want to shift gears and talk about what's going on in Colorado with their whole legalization of marijuana. This is a change in topics. But the interesting thing to me is what's going on in Colorado is they've got a tiger by the tail. They've got a tiger by the tail. Number one, they're finding that marijuana and hashish-infused edibles are back in vogue. These are psychedelic edibles. They're sold in packages. They're packaged like candy. They look like candy. They're brownies. They're other sorts of bakery products. And they've been infused with marijuana. And they're being sold legally because they're completely unregulated, being sold in these shops that are licensed to sell marijuana. They're packaged like candy. So who's going to get their hands on those things? Teenagers are going to get their hands on those. Their older brothers, their uncles, their older friends, the friends of their brothers are going to go into these shops and buy up these cookies and these brownies and these marijuana-laced candies, and they're going to hand them out like literally like candy in the neighborhood. And we already had that one story about that 2-year-old had to be hospitalized because found a half-eaten cookie out on the front yard and ate it, and wound up so lethargic her mom was afraid something happened, took her to the hospital. So we're already seeing it's going to be a huge problem, and everywhere where marijuana is legalized, one of the documented results is spike in use among teenagers, and it only makes sense. Because if the government is saying, hey, this is fine, this isn't a product that does any harm to you, this is perfectly normal, this is acceptable, this is a nice alternative, knock yourself out, it's perfectly legal, then teens are going to say, well, then why shouldn't we be allowed to do it? So the use among teenagers spikes. We had that study from Colorado that indicated that the month after marijuana was legalized, 32% of Colorado teenagers used marijuana in that month. So they're going to find a way to get it. Now they got another huge problem there is marijuana business is primarily a cash business because remember, marijuana is still illegal under federal law. It's illegal under federal law. You can't legally sell it under federal law. Now, President Obama and Eric Holder said, look, that's another one of those laws we're going to ignore. We're going to ignore the laws we don't like. If it's a law that we can use to punish you, we're going to land on you like a falling safe. We're going to go after Dinesh D'Souza with everything we've got for a minor technical violation that would be a misdemeanor in most cases. We're going to try to put him in prison, but we're going to let you break very clear, plain federal laws. We're not going to prosecute. But these banks are just not sure. These banks don't want to take a chance of getting in trouble. So these marijuana shops have to carry around all this cash. They've got to keep it on the premises, and it's naturally that's going to be a magnet for crime. Here's a piece out of NBC News talking about what's happened to these marijuana shops in Colorado. One thief posing as a delivery man pulled a can of bear mace, the stuff that you use to stop a grizzly bear. He used that on employees, ransacked their marijuana shop, fleeing in a defensive cloud of ultra pepper spray. Another opened the wall of a dispensary, that's a medical marijuana place, with an axe. and attacked the store's safe with a circular saw. Still another stuck to the basics. He kicked in the front door, pointed his gun at the counterman. An accomplice kicked in the back door and filled a duffel bag with more than $10,000 worth of high-quality cannabis. And all this stuff is going on now in the recent past in Colorado. And it's because banks and security firms don't want to do business with these dispensaries because they could get busted on money laundering charges. They know that they're at risk. Now, they may be fine under Eric Holder, but what happens if you get a conservative president in 2016 that is willing to do his job, and that is see that the laws be faithfully executed? They know that they are in big trouble. Executive director of the Marijuana Industry Group says this: everyone in the industry is having nightmares. You hit a 7-Eleven, you get $20. You hit a dispensary, you'll get $300,000 on a good day. And the district attorney for Denver says it's only a matter of time before somebody gets shot. Now, they have to have alarms, surveillance cameras. They will secure their cash and retail pot in a floor-bolted safe overnight. But thieves keep coming. This is NBC. They throw bricks through windows, tunnel under floors. One team tore away the locks on a grow house with a set of chains and a Subaru Outback. Another crashed an Audi through a warehouse door. So all that's going on in Colorado right now. Jonathan Salfeld, the owner of Local Product of Colorado, says this: I think everyone has been robbed at least once. His store has been broken into twice, despite being located, catch this, a block from the Denver police headquarters. He's a block away from the police, and he's been robbed, broken into twice. So they're getting brazen about this. The director of business development at Medicine Man, one of the largest dispensaries, says her dispensary was broken into 4 or 5 times. Another one, 3 break-ins in 4 years. So pot is a crime magnet, and Colorado is discovering that the hard way. Focal Point AFR Talk, Clean Out the Fridge Friday. We'll be right back after the news. Stay with us.
American Family Radio. AFR Talk.
Mandate no belief, but we poison our society when we